Jordan Love led the comeback, and Micah Parsons slammed the door. Was it pretty in the middle? No, but this is how the Packers drew it up at the beginning of the season.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts. You will find Locked On Packers, the #1 Packers podcast on the internet, and the show for fans who know what happened. They want to know why and how. Thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every day. We hope you like starting your day with us as much as we like starting our day with you. Today's episode sponsored by our friends at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 after you play your first $5 lineup. The Green Bay Packers airplane was delayed getting out of Green Bay. And for a while, it felt like the offense was delayed too. Just 6 points in the first half. But this game turned in the second quarter with mere seconds left in the first half. In fact, 7 seconds left in the first half. Jordan Love hits Romeo Doubs for a 22-yard gain, and the Packers, with Luke Haversack, attempt a 61-yard field goal that goes down. And instead of being down double digits, the Packers are only down a touchdown. That really is what won this Packers team the game. Jordan Love on that final drive marched the team right down the field. I mean, right down the field. This was the Cowboys game, except they scored. 10 plays, 48 yards. There was multiple fourth down conversions. The 4th and 2, which was the play. And I felt like Jonathan Vilma and Kenny Albert did a really bad job of explaining why the Packers should absolutely go for it there by making the perfect case for why they should, except they were saying they should kick because they only had one timeout in the 2-minute warning, and so they can get the ball, they get a stop. No, that's exactly why you have to go. If you kick the ball, you still need to score again. You only have one timeout in the 2-minute warning. That is really too big a gamble to take when all you need to do is go down and score a touchdown to get the win. You score a field goal, it's a tie game. And now you're giving the Cardinals an opportunity to go play. Now, yes, if you don't get it, then that's when the timeouts come into play. But like, you still have to go get a stop. And the way the defense was playing, trusting your defense in this case means you got to go score a touchdown. And that's exactly what the Packers did. Jordan Love made every play after the miss. After the miss on the first drive, when they've got Romeo Doubs open on a touchdown, and you know, they're speaking live after the game. We're live on YouTube after the game. So I would love to know from Jordan Love, was he expecting Romeo Doubs to take that a little bit more vertical? It's rare that they're not on the same page in that way. Romeo Doubs taking that route across the field. Love threw it over the top. If Love is expecting Doubs to come across the field, usually on those big posts, he's leading guys way over. If he expected Doubs to be a little skinnier on that, it makes sense that ball was over the top, or it might have just been a miss. I don't know. But I felt like Love really was in control of this game for long stretches. The problem was the defense was not getting off the field. I mean, outside of the 7-second drive, they had 3 first-half drives. The whole premise of the Jeff Hafley defense is we think our offense can be more efficient than your offense. So you want to try and death by 1,000 checkdowns us. Go do it. But Jordan Love is also ultimately going to be more efficient. That's not quite what happened in this game. The Packers were able to create a turnover. That turned into points. Huge play by Rashawn Gary. The pass rush showed up in this game, and it showed what this pass rush is capable of doing. What they're capable of. 3 sacks from Micah Parsons, including what turns out to be essentially the game clincher. the Packers wind up with 6 sacks in this game. But the offense was able to move because Brissett is just, it's check down, it's check down, it's check down. And then a couple times when they get things protected, the Packers go single high, it's one-on-one on the outside. And Nate Hobbs just forgets how to play the ball. I know they spent money on Nate Hobbs in the offseason. And on the money play, Nate Hobbs was in the slot on the last possession. I thought that was interesting. If that's what you feel like you have to do, if Nate Hobbs has to be a slot corner for you, then just play him in the slot. I think Javon Bullard has earned the right to continue to be that slot corner. Nate Hobbs has not. I understand you paid him, but you might just have to eat that for now. Carrington Valentine might just be the better player. They're going to have to, at the very least, give Carrington Valentine some snaps next week because Nate Hobbs, at least on first watch, now against the Cowboys, he looked rough live, and then you go back and you go, well, he was expecting safety help here and here and here. No. These are plays where it's just one-on-one and he never finds the ball, or it's one-on-one and he just gets beat. I don't think rewatch is going to be any kinder to Nate Hobbs than the live viewing was. Maybe a little bit, maybe a play here or there. But this is why you go get Micah Parsons, because he gets that huge sack. The Cardinals, they get the return, and it's like they have great field position to start going. I don't know why the Packers didn't kick it off into the landing zone, so they had to return the ball. I don't understand that at all. Like, this is every team in the league understands late in the game, if you have the lead, kick the ball into the landing area, so they have to return it. If they return it to the 35, fine. You kicked it into the end zone, took no time, and it's still to the 35. Plus, you'd been defending kicks really well all game. I don't understand that part of it. Okay. But then with the game on the line, Karl Brooks, the pass rush comes through. Karl Brooks get the holding call early in that drive. You get Micah Parsons with the sack late. And then ultimately, it's the pass rush at the end. Jacoby Brissett's got to just chuck that up on 4th and 10. They weren't running a play. They were running a Hail Mary because the problem was they had run out of timeouts. So with 10 seconds left, if you get 10 yards, you're probably not going to be able to run up and spike it. And then even if you do, you're still one play into the end zone. So they just thought, okay, we'll throw the one play into the end zone. This was a game where you needed Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, who obviously had to have, it was on a pitch count, but runs 13 carries for 55 yards, 2 touchdowns, made a couple unbelievable plays. The play that set up the game-winning touchdown, where he slithers free. It looks like he's dead to rights in the backfield. He slithers free and gets into the end zone. That's why you have a Josh Jacobs. That's why you pay him that money in free agency. That's why he's a guy that Matt LaFleur is going to continue to lean on when they need him in these moments, even though clearly he was not 100%. And Matt LaFleur said, look, he was on a pitch count in the first half. We may have to ride him in the second half in a different kind of way. They didn't really do that. They mixed up the running back situation, but when they needed him, he was out there. And look, there were some problems with Micah Parsons, and we'll talk about them in a second. He's offside on a play where if he's not offside, it's an incomplete pass, and the Cardinals are kicking a field goal at the end of the first half. Instead, they get one more shot at it, and they throw a touchdown. That's a 4-point swing in a game you win by 4. And at the time, you're down 7. Well, a 3rd and 18 sack turns into a first down on a hip drop tackle, which, by the way, it was a good call. That is the definition of a hip drop. Guys often drop their weight with their lower body to take guys to the ground. It's only a foul if you fall on the guy's legs, because those are the dangerous plays they're trying to officiate out of the game. Unfortunately, it's a good call. He had several other tackles in this game that were hip drop tackles. They're just not hip drop penalties. And it's unfortunate. He's an undersized guy. I mean, he's 240 pounds. Jacoby Brissett is probably 240 pounds. And so it's tough to take down these guys without dropping your weight. That was just an unfortunate play, but that leads to a field goal. Otherwise, you're punting. So that's 7 points that your best player costs you with penalties. You can't have that kind of stuff. The flip side of it, though, is I think he had 6 pressures in the first half. I think he ended up with 10. My guess is he'll end up with double-digit pressures in this game. 3 sacks after 2.5 the whole first 5 games. I said on Locked On Packers on Friday, they were just getting too many pressures to not start getting some sacks. And there were too many plays on the ball, too many opportunities to not create some fumbles here. They finally created the fumble. So is this the new normal for them against a better offensive line? Is it going to look different? I guess we're going to see. Because Aaron Rodgers, in a week here, by the way, on extra rest, is going to make sure that he is not too aggressive. He's going to check everything down. This has been a quick passing game anyway. What does it look like in those circumstances? Let's talk more about this defense next on Locked On Packers. If you're a business owner, here's the truth. There is supposed to be SaaS, supposed to make work easier, but the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your team and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS. That's SAD. Software as a disservice. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is a unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance all in one place. They've helped millions, of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. Everything from onboarding to payroll to IT access runs automatically and perfectly in sync. And right now you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/LockedOnNFL. Learn more at rippling.com/LockedOnNFL. That's rippling.com/LockedOnNFL for 6 months free. Terms and conditions do apply. Today's episode also brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right actually gets you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is fun, it's simple, and it's a great way to add more excitement to football. Just play more or less on player projections like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley's rushing for a touchdown, and you're in the game. It's also fun to follow other players in the app. Copy their lineups with just one click. Plus, right now, Prize Picks has added stacks. So if I want to ride one player, I can select their pass yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns all in one lineup. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineup after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineup after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. So this defense, we got to talk about this defense right now because it has not looked the same. It just has not looked the same the last couple of weeks. And part of the reason is the ball is coming out extremely quickly. In this game, the problem was the chunk plays. You had a 43-yarder to Zay Jones on 3rd and a mile. The 35-yarder to Marvin Harrison Jr. on 3rd and a mile. The Packers allowed conversions on 3rd and 23 and 3rd and 15, plus a 3rd and 9 becomes 3rd and 4 because of an offsides penalty. And this is it's just bad defense. Like the one to Zay Jones, Evan Williams just completely misplays the ball. You're playing cover 2 there, and Jacoby Brissett, I think it's cover 2. Jacoby Brissett, it's like the deepest hole shot I've ever seen. Maybe that's how it looked live. We'll see. But still, Keyshawn Nixon is playing that like he's the cloud corner to that side. And I don't know if he just got beat. We'll see with the tape. I don't want to make declarative proclamations, but it looked like Evan Williams took a bad angle to that ball. And then on the Marvin Harrison Jr. one, that's just Nate Hobbs getting beat. You just can't have that. The thing for this team is the final numbers will say that the run defense played pretty decent. 3.4 yards per carry. Now, Jacoby Brissett was part of that run game. Bam Knight was 14 for 57. That's a shade over 4.1 yards per carry. But they were getting these chunk runs. And if you get 4 yards a pop on these runs, all of a sudden you're just in second and manageable all day. And it felt like, okay, you get an incompletion on 1st and 10. On 2nd down, they run it, and now it's 3rd and 2. And you're setting up these 3rd and manageables. But even when you weren't getting off the field. That's what Micah Parsons is here to do. The Cardinals finished 7 of 14 on 3rd down. That's bad situational defense. 5.6 yards per play is not some great number. It's an okay number. It's not a great number. So defensively, like that's fine. It's the situational play calls that you struggled with. The getting off the field on 3rd down when you have Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary, and Xavier McKinney and the other players that you have, that should just be money. That should be your bread and butter. And it just wasn't in this game. And it was helped only by the fact that the Packers were situationally able to buckle down in the red zone. They hold the Cardinals to 2 of 4 in the red zone. And that is the reason why this game was not out of hand early. You hold them to 2 field goals right out of the bat when they just they were dominating this game. Like I said right before, I jinxed the crap out of this team. It's the Cardinals driving down and it's 3rd and 9. And I go, the Packers are going to be very lucky to be down whatever the number is here, likely 6 points because they got dominated in the first half. And then the Cardinals score. And it's like, okay, well, that score felt more indicative of what the game was. 13-3 felt more like how the game was being played at that point. But then the Packers come out and they outscore the Cardinals 24-10 in the second half. The offense came alive. And it wasn't like they weren't moving the ball, but they had penalties and miscommunications, and they never quite looked settled in this game, really until the end. The final drive, they looked totally comfortable at all times. Like Jordan Love knew Tucker Kraft was going to be wide ass open as soon as he dropped back. He's looking at Tucker Kraft there, and they're going for the kill shot. I mean, that's a corner route on 4th and 2. They could have just try and throw that little out route, though the Cardinals were sitting on those. They were sitting on a lot of the quick game standard stuff that the Packers like to run. So they were trying to be aggressive. The difference between the Packers offense and the Cardinals offense was the Cardinals, they had checkdowns on every play. And the Packers wanted to get guys out in the route. Their checkdowns were swing passes, not right in front of the quarterback. And when you get pressure, it's much easier for a quarterback to feel the pressure, even if it's up the middle, and go, I can just dump the ball right in front of me. Then the guy's over on the corner, and I got to turn my whole body and not see what's going on because I don't have my eyes to that side of the field right now, and try and get a play over there. And maybe that's something the Packers are going to have to look at. I felt like, to not be able to block this Cardinals front is problematic. This Cardinals defense played pretty well, though. Calais Campbell, the ageless wonder, just kept coming. Zach Tom clearly not 100%. Rasheed Walker has not played like the player we saw last year and the year before even. So it might be time to talk about Anthony Belton, that left tackle. It might be time to talk about should Jordan Morgan just go be the left tackle and Sean Ryan play right guard, although you had Jordan Morgan replace Sean Ryan. Is Morgan a bigger boon for you at left tackle? You're also taking a big risk. It's a lot of things to try and juggle. Probably more likely it is a conversation for the offseason. But is it going to scuttle your offense right now? Maybe. So, but back to the defensive part of this. Jeff Hafley is going to have to come up with some answers on getting dinked and dunked to death, because this is the second week in a row where a team has said, okay, if you're going to give us every underneath throw, we're going to take them all day. And we're going to take our selective shots. When you play single high, we're going to take our selective shots. And we're just going to hope that we don't have any penalties, no batted balls, no sack fumbles. That sack fumble ultimately decided this game. The one turnover you got ultimately decided this game. But Jeff Hafley is going to have to come up with some answers. And I don't know if it means becoming, I think this team could play more havoc defense. They have become a little bit more of a static defense in terms of the way they rush the passer. Earlier in the year, they were creating more chaos. And it seems like they have gone away from some of the simulated pressures, away from some of the funky games, to just saying, hey, we think with our guys, we can win. And in this game, they more or less did that. But you almost can't win fast enough to get the ball out when the checkdowns are here. And so what you need to be able to do is make sure the running back is in the pass protection, and then make the tight end have to chip release. And then if you're going to do that, you got to be able to find that guy, whether it's the other linebacker or whatever it's going to be. You have to have some answers here. And I think Jeff Hafley is going to do it. He's a very insightful coach. He's a very adaptive coach. He has shown he can be malleable and figure out ways to make this all work. This, I wonder, because if the offense does start a little bit slow, Now you're playing into the other team's hand. What the other team wants to do in almost every game they play, because the Packers are better than every team they play for the most part. When you are the underdog, you want the fewer plays because then you can play into variance. You can play into, hey, just 2 or 3 plays are so much more important. And if we make those plays, then they don't. And that can win us the game. Basically what the Browns did. So if you're going to have 3.5 possessions, I mean, the Packers are very lucky that in 7 seconds they were able to create a field goal opportunity. Otherwise, 3 real possessions in the first half, you better have scored on 2 or 3 of them. And the Packers only scored on 1. Now they get that crucial second score at the end of the half. You can't count on that sort of stuff every week. It's just not going to work. And so, yes, Jeff Hafley talked about this. He was like, we think our offense is going to be more effective than your offense. And so we believe fundamentally that we can live this way. I don't know. Because I know that they did this against the Lions and it worked, but against a team like the Lions a second time, or against a good offensive team, a patient offensive team, they're just going to keep taking the found money. I mentioned the Packers. Now, Aaron Rodgers is famously not someone who wants to check it down every play. He wants to find those opportunities. He wants to find those shots down the field, but they've lived in quick game this year. Everything is ball out, because he doesn't want to get hit. So can you be effective enough covering these guys? And right now, the answer with Nate Hobbs is no. So you need to find a home with Nate Hobbs, or you need to get back to Carrington Valentine being the guy who is rotating in. And or what they've done is essentially play sides with Keyshawn Nixon. And according to FTN charting, Carrington Valentine and Nate Hobbs are each among top 10 in rate of number 1 receivers faced, because every team is putting their number 1 receiver on the offense's left side and having them go against either Carrington Valentine or Nate Hobbs instead of Keyshawn Nixon. Keyshawn Nixon has faced number 1 receivers like 5 snaps this year. They're just not even doing it. And in the one game where he actually saw number 1 receivers against Terry McLaurin, he was excellent. And maybe that's just the respect that teams have, but then the Packers have to have some answers, whether it's shading help to that side. I would just give Carrington Valentine more reps. Just see what he's got. He had some good plays against Jamar Chase. Again, I know you paid Nate Hobbs the money. I know you're excited about him. I know he's just getting up to speed in this defense, really just getting his legs under him. This is the first full game, the first time he's had a chance to play a full game. But I don't know if this is the way you can live moving forward. Luckily, the offense came through and they did it on the back, or should I say the shoulders, of Jordan Love. We'll talk about that next on Locked On Packers. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIH's top safety pick plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to breath work, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same attention to how they craft every model. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but. With smooth handling to intuitive controls, with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like the players, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's episode also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. For example, if you had bet the over in this game, you would have hit it. If you had bet the Packers money line with the over, which I think is just a good bet generally. I did it last week. I won with it last week. That would have hit. They did not, however, cover the spread. So if you had Cardinals on that plus 6.5, you would have won. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. With Josh Jacobs less than 100%, the Packers had 29 attempts from Jordan Love and then 4 runs from Jordan Love. So really those are called pass plays because none of those were, zone reads or anything like that. So really 19 true carries from the running game and 32 passes. When they needed it, they were able to rely on Jordan Love and this offense. I still think more opportunities for Matthew Golden would be good. It seemed like every time they tried to get him the ball, something good happened. But Romeo Doubs was a clear plus in this game. 6 for 72. They really just forced the one ball into him in coverage. Tucker Kraft ends up getting 10 targets. He leads the team in targets. A couple of those were off target, so to speak, on checkdowns. But that, like, there was one in the second half where they go 3 and out. It's 3rd and 5, and on live, I'm just like, that's a bad throw from Jordan Love. And then they show the replay, and Zach Thomas getting walked into Jordan Love's lap, and actually they hit Jordan Love and his arm, I believe, as the ball is leaving. So Tucker Kraft was a big focal point in this game. Matthew Golden played a lot. Dontavian Wicks, I mean, just 2 targets for Dontavian Wicks. He's getting phased out of this offense. And I will reissue my objection to how much the Packers are rotating these receivers. I understand, and I am sympathetic to a point of the people who are like, well, look at these teams. Look at all the targets Jamar Chase is getting. Guys, Jamar Chase does not play for the Green Bay Packers. And yes, it's good to get your best players the ball, but I don't know that there's a meaningful difference between Romeo Doubs, Matthew Golden, Dontavian Wicks. When Christian Watson comes back, Christian Watson. When Jaden Reed comes back, Jaden Reed. Like, I think spreading the ball out here is good. Now, Tucker Kraft being the team's leading target getter, I can get on board with that. Tucker Kraft being the guy you're going to in a high leverage moment, I can get on board with that. Early in the game, 4th down, out route, Love zings a dot to Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden has still been a clutch player for this offense. It has just been whatever they've needed. And whenever they've needed it, Jordan Love has put it together. And I feel like he is playing at such a high level right now. I understand that the Romeo Doubs miss, and the final numbers are not going to blow anybody away. 19 of 29 for 179. That's 6 yards an attempt with the score, but only took the 1 sack and had a couple plays where he's just like, he is Houdiniing his way out of harm's way. Those are the kinds of plays you need Jordan Love to make. That is part of Jordan Love being in control. But when Christian Watson comes back, look, I love Malik Heath. He is a tough, gritty player. He can't be out there. He can't be out there. You need your best players out there, period. And that is the one time where there is just such a meaningful gap between him and the rest of those guys. Look, he's a solid player. I like Malik Heath. I want to get that on the record. But if the option is playing Malik Heath or Matthew Golden, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks, those guys have to play. They have to play. And so you have to either live with, like, Malik Heath's blocking is not so much better, especially now that Christian Watson is healthy. My guess is Christian Watson will play against the Steelers. His blocking is not so much better that he should be taking anybody else off the field, period. Just shouldn't. Everybody else is just significantly more dynamic. I don't think they're going to trade anybody from that group. I know that there's some, conversations about that. I don't think the Packers are going to trade anyone for that group. If anything, the conversation is, could they trade Brandon McManus and get a corner? That would be what I would be interested in. No, I would just have Carrington Valentine. But I feel like they can't, not that they like Lucas Haversek, they got to keep that guy. Secret's out. But I don't know how you do that unless you just say, hey, Brandon McManus, we're going to put you on IR. We're going to give you a month. Just take a break, guy. Just take a little break. Take a little break. For them to be able to get in position to hit a 61-yard, like, I don't know if McManus has taken that 61-yarder. But here's the thing. 27 points again. The Packers are now, every win has come when they've scored exactly 27 points. That's weird. Just weird. But this was a different kind of game for the Packers this year. More minutes trailing in this game than the rest of the season combined. They clearly did not have their A game. And because of this offense in the second half, the offensive explosion, 21 points in the second half, 14 in the fourth quarter, you march right down the field and leave very little time for the Cardinals to do anything after that when they have to score a touchdown. That's championship level stuff. You don't have your A game. You go on the road, injuries, Lucas Van Ness is hurt, Christian Watson is out, Josh Jacobs not 100%, Jaden Reed is hurt, and you get 27 points. Your best players play in the key moments, their best football, and you get a win. Did this look like clearly the best team in the league? No. But I want to reiterate, last week, the Colts, who, by the way, beat the absolute crap out of the LA Chargers, 38-24 in that game. They needed a goal line stop against Jacoby Brissett last week to win. And that team is a wagon right now. So you are never going to apologize for winning in the NFL, especially on the road. There are plenty more tough tests here, but you are right now atop the NFC North. And by the end of this week 7, you could be atop the NFC. Or you're going to be another extra game clear of the Detroit Lions. So is it perfect? No. Did they get the win they needed, improve? They can play a different sort of way, a comeback sort of way. Yes, and these were the games last year where they couldn't quite get there. Couldn't quite get over the hump. I understand that this is not the Vikings, this is not the Lions, but they come back, they get the win, and that shows a lot about this team. All right. For those of you watching on YouTube, the squad show is about to start right here on the Locked On Packers feed. For the rest of you, we will see you tomorrow as we get you set for another week of Packers football. Follow me on the socials, follow the podcast on the socials, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get podcasts. And of course, subscribe on YouTube where we are always live after the game. We're about to be live for another hour, another 60 minutes of the Locked On Packers squad show, so you can stay Locked On Packers.